Hey, I'm Alec.
And I'm Mitch.
We're your discount daddies, and this is FreebieTV.
We play shitty free games so you don't have to.
And good free games because we want to.
And now we're going to tell you all about them.
First up, Final Fantasy XII. Alright. Should you play Final Fantasy XII? Come on, it's Final Fantasy XII. Will it be slightly less spectacular because of its age? Subjective question, and I will not be answering it. Even just asking me, is this worth playing, is an insult to our process. I am in my closet making recommendations for you. If you have any sort of interest in this game, you should already be playing it. The story, enthralling. Production value, insane. The music, transportative. If you like JRPGs and you somehow haven't played this, play it! If you're looking to try out your first, this is a fantastic place to start. So what are you still doing here? Go! Get out of here! Play the damn thing! What's wrong with you? Stop! Go! Stop the video! You're done! Go! Get out of here! We don't want you anymore! It's over! It's over between us! It's over!
Next up, we're going to talk about Prison Architect. Prison Architect, developed by Introversion Software and released in 2015, is a construction and management sim that allows you to build and run your very own private prison, the American Dream. This is primarily a single-player game, but also features a multiplayer game mode allowing up to 8 players to work cooperatively on a single prison. One of my favorite parts about Prison Architect is the way that it simultaneously gamifies and shines a light on an issue as controversial as the corporate prison system. Prison Architect does a fantastic job of incentivizing the player to continuously expand and improve upon their prison by awarding grants in exchange for completing tasks and increasing the prison's capacity. The more prisoners you have, and the more dangerous they are, the more money you make. This expansion comes at the risk of triggering failure conditions when your disgruntled and unruly prisoners begin murdering each other with spoons and your boss fires your ass for criminal negligence. Such babies, how am I supposed to make stacks of cash forcing my prisoners to manufacture license plates when they waste all their time doing things like eating? This makes for a fun and addictive gameplay loop that periodically sends the player into a deep depression as they come to grips with their role in the systematic mass incarceration of hundreds of digital beings for profit. It's a blast, I promise. Prison Architect has a lot in common with many other games in the construction and management simulation genre, but it breaks the mold with its escape mode. In this game mode, you can build a prison or download one from another player, then attempt to escape from it. This is great for players who enjoy the base game, but feel like their experience would be enhanced by getting tased a whole bunch. At only 500 megabytes and boasting graphics that a particularly fancy calculator could handle, this game is a great choice for gamers with limited access to high-end gear. In fact, when I first played this game years ago, I was using a laptop, and it ran with absolutely no problems. Honestly, this game is fantastic, and it's one that I find myself repeatedly coming back to. I'd recommend this game to anyone, and especially to fans of the genre. If you're subscribed to Gamepass, pick this up. After all, it won't cost you anything.
Next up, we've got the Falconer, an ambitious single-player semi-open world air combat game, solo developed by Tomas Sala. His first release, asking for a mere 1.4 gigs of your precious space, initially impressed us with its inspired concept. A grim yet fantastical world, with fissures driven through the ocean by unseen forces, where pilots fly warbirds through the sky, shooting guns powered by lightning, all to establish trade dominance in an economy with too little to go around. Great setting, right? Actually, it's kinda not. Sadly, the game suffers from an unorthodox story presentation, where all 4 chapters take place simultaneously and can be played in any order. The dialogue delivered within each is intentionally vague, as to encourage playing all sides of the story, but with little substance and little talent in the voice acting department, I can't imagine making the time to do so. Even worse is the game can't manage to make good on the promise of
aerial peak slashing, lightning power, talent dashing, rising, stalling, death for smashing, light 'em up and send 'em crashing.
combat, which is disappointing. Yeah, you can do this cool little camera thing when you're dogfighting, but when your bird will literally just drop into eternal sleep at the slightest touch from another bird like some sort of feathered incel, I think the opportunity presented by having animals as combatants is lost. And the missions, ranging from 2 minutes with one combatant to fight to 10 minutes where no combat occurs and I'm just flying across the map, I was never once impressed with the content or story implications of an objective. I actively counted down my remaining time with this game, but not all is bad. The game runs really well, with my build able to run the highest settings at 1440p 120Hz, and at times it really does look beautiful, aside from the character design and some of the texture work. The music more than fits the atmosphere, and I appreciated the attempt to make travel more engaging with drafts to take advantage of and thunderstorms to fly through for ammunition. The game does implement some novel ideas and has some really unique features. Unfortunately, one of them just happens to be an all-reaching blanket of mediocrity that keeps me from recommending it to anyone. I would pass. Next up, developed and published by Other Ocean, Project Winter is among us if it chose to throw more grit, blood, and player roles into the classic social deception formula. With a stylized, frosty setting, higher skill ceiling, and additional ways to betray your friends, it's clearly a more elaborate game. It features multiplayer with up to 8 players, cross-platform between all platforms, and only requires a humble 2.3 gigs of your space. Abandoned in the bitter cold, survivors work together to complete a list of objectives before returning to the cabin to call in rescue by helicopter at a nearby helipad. All these locations are randomly placed each match to force exploration and to keep gameplay fresh. Survivor objectives include tasks to restore radio communications, like fixing a generator or radio tower. This is done by either harvesting and crafting parts relevant to the fix, or by looting those same parts from bunkers placed randomly through the environment. Though, those do require coordination to open, and we've all played online games, it's hit or miss. But in Project Winter, it pays to travel in groups. Communicating to survive is essential, and the voice chat is proximity-based.
Just hold X to chat.
I'm holding X and now I'm chatting.
Hazards include the cold, starvation, wild animals, and most deadly of all, other players. As is custom in social deception games, not all are working together. Traders can loot aptly named trader crates for weapons, tools for sabotage, and general supplies. Sowing distrust in the group with well-timed sabotages and killings is both satisfying and more dynamic than in Among Us. Revelations and discussions happen in real time, and there's no kill timer. Witnessing a killer can result in a mad dash to another group of players while the trader is traveling through hatches, tracking the trail you've left in the snow. Survive, and your reward is a struggle against the trader's social deception as they turn the narrative around on you. But the game is not without flaws. Combat lacks weight and precision, making fights for survival feel like a fight against the control scheme. The setting, while randomized and well designed, also becomes very familiar and monotonous in a short amount of time. However, there's just a staggering amount of depth compared to other games in the genre. I didn't even get into the hacker, medic, and scientist roles, the latter of which can allow you to bring people back from the dead as long as you have another player's heart. That's metal. If you like social deception games and want one with some extra depth, pick this puppy up and give it a nice little nuzzling, because puppies are cute, man.
Next, we're taking a look at Ghost of a Tale, a single-player action-adventure game by Scythe CG. This is one that I wish I had known about sooner, but I've never really been drawn to games that rely on stealth as a major gameplay mechanic. Generally, I prefer to play games that allow for a more aggressive playstyle because mama didn't raise no bitch. Anyway, this game is really an exception. It's charming, endearing, and thoughtfully developed with amazing attention to detail. The setting is that of a storybook fantasy featuring anthropomorphic animals, including a minstrel mouse named Tello, who is the player character. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of Redwall for those of you who remember reading those books. It features a heartwarming story, even in contrast to its bleak setting, and it is a bona fide mastercraft in terms of animation and sound design. In fact, Lionel Scythe Gallet, founder of the studio, cut his teeth as animation director on high-profile movies like The Lorax and Despicable Me. Scythe clearly brought those skills to bear on this game. It is definitely worth picking this up, especially for subscribers of Gamepass, so don't ghost on this tale.
Lastly, we've got The Medium, which is a game I honestly had no interest in playing, but drew a short straw. The gimmick of the split, where our medium sees both material and spiritual planes, was interesting, and the art direction was certainly striking, but horror games are seldom my genre, with the most joy being found in campier titles like Until Dawn or the Dark Pictures anthology. In short, I'm a big baby who doesn't like playing horror games alone. So I enlisted the help of resident horror nerd Ellie, and we dove in together. Developed by Bloober Team, The Medium is a psych horror game set in 1990s Poland, where we follow main character Marianne, an orphan who was adopted by a wealthy man who sought to cultivate her unique abilities as a medium. And can we just appreciate how freaking cool she is? Matching drinks, to outfits, to motorcycles, keeping it fit, solving spirit crimes like a badass. Ellie Crush approved. After preparing our adopted father, Mr. Totally Not Jeff Bezos, for his funeral, we received a frantic phone call requesting our unique form of help at an old abandoned resort. Upon arrival is where the game's loop really takes over. Explore, interact, solve split world puzzle, continue. It's a simple hook, usually elevated through dialogue trees a la Life is Strange, or gunplay a la every other video game. But the medium chooses to rely almost entirely on its stellar environmental and audio design. With a fantastic score by Silent Hill's composer Akira Yamaoka and Bloober Team's pedigree for gorgeous visual design, the medium sounds fantastic and looks it too. Sadly, as I'm sure you've heard, performance on PC is a mess. With a 1700X and a 2080, I couldn't hold 30 FPS at 1440p without ray tracing on. In fact, we experienced single-digit frame rates at times, and it truly did detract from what otherwise would have been the highlight moments of the game. Luckily, on Series X, dynamic resolution is employed, allowing a virtual 30 FPS lock according to Digital Foundry, even if resolution can drop to around 900p. In the end, I think the medium has enough going for it that I'll recommend it to any Series X owner and to those who enjoy fixed camera horror games. But anyway, this isn't a Twitch shooter. If you can stomach the frame drops, there's absolutely a unique experience waiting here. I'd recommend giving it a shot. And that's a wrap on our first episode of FreebieTV. We hope you enjoyed it, got something of value out of it, and could stomach our terrible sense of humor. We're hoping to put these videos out at about a 1 or 2 week cadence so that they don't become unmanageably long. The goal here is to provide a weekly or bi-weekly video that helps you figure out what you want to be playing. We want you to experience more games. We have so much at our disposal. Speaking of which, if there are any games in the back catalogs of any of these services that you're unsure about, I'm sure others are too. Shout it out in the comments, let us know, and we'll try to hit it in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.